Where you at? There we go.
It's dark. I know. I'm outside. I'm trying to get this bonfire started because it's the only place that's gonna be quiet right now.
I feel you. I feel you. I missed my window for this dark and hell is hot joke, but it's fine.
I could just show you the smoke.
X told you hell is hot. I told you repent.
It's over. Let's let the moment pass and try again another time.
It's all good. What's up, man? What's going on? How you feeling?
I'm okay, man. Kids is going down. Monday been a nice Monday. You know, literally, bro. I'm outside. You know what I'm saying? And summer is upon us. We had a nice day today, didn't we?
We did. Went outside, did a little walking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like you at a Donda concert.
Kinda am. I kinda am.
Yeah, man.
Kinda
Good.
am. What's up with you though?
You know, Monday, kids sleep. This is our life now. Well, I'm not used to it. You've been doing this for a while. I haven't. Like, this is still new to me. Like, oh, okay. Like, the kids are asleep, so now I can move and shape the way that I want to. But yeah,
You said
man.
8 or 9. You said 8 or 9. I said 9.
9. That buffer, like, you want 8 o'clock to be the window, but
9.
not always. Nah.
9, bro.
So I'm good though, man. Everything is cool. Yeah, it looks like the weather's finally breaking. So
Yep.
Yeah. Folks are trying to get out.
Yeah. It's gonna be like we said, it's gonna be a hot summer.
Yes, it is.
An interesting summer.
Yes, it is.
What's up to the people? Thank y'all for joining us as always. We got a couple of things to talk about.
Yes. Where do you want to start? Because it's a lot going on. You know, we can be choosy with what we talk about.
Yeah, well, we did say Kevin Samuels and Kendrick Lamar, and you know that in and of itself is enough to talk about.
For sure.
So,
well, you want to start? We can
let's start with
light.
Let's start with Kev.
Oh, okay. Let's start with Kev. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, let's start. Well,
All
okay,
right.
No, you know what? You're right. We probably should start with Kendrick.
Yeah,
Right.
We might have to warm up to get to Kev. Like Kendrick is gonna be easy because that's a rapper talk.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but yeah.
We'll get there. So that's some incentive for y'all to stick around our Kevin Samuels talk. But Kendrick Lamar is back.
Kung Fu Kenny, we here.
If you listen to Clock Radio Speakers, my podcast, man, we've been debating when Kendrick was gonna drop since quarantine. So didn't do nothing. Everybody dropped. Cole dropped, Drake, all the big dogs, Kanye, and the whole stage is set. Yeah. Man, Jack Harlow was out for about 3 days. Kendrick was like, nah.
Bro, we was texting about that. Jack Harlow had a smooth 3 minutes, and then we found ourselves at the Kentucky Derby, and we was just like, nah. That's just, it's not the time for that.
My man was getting lifted by his elbows over mud by 2 other adult males.
Not the time.
Yeah,
not the time for that.
Moving on.
I'm sure you saw the Umar video connected to that.
Of course.
Yeah.
We had to make the GOAT chime in, even if he, you know what I'm saying, even if he didn't say anything directly, his commentary is always going to be relevant to everything.
Listen, man, we got to protect Umar at all costs, but
100%.
I will say that he said he was saying some wild stuff the other day that I didn't know what he was talking about. I talked about Jupiter and Pluto, and you know, maybe if you hotep deep like that, then you can translate that for me, but I don't know, bro. It sounded like he had something slipped in his drink in the morning, you know, and it was all written out in all caps, and I was just like, fam, okay,
You're doing a lot. This is my
relax.
cue to exit. It's my cue to exit. So speaking of the hoteps, part 5.
You start, bro. You start. How did you feel? Because we haven't really talked about it outside of just some brief, you know, it happened. We're here.
Yeah, just the link and first of all, the visual and the song together are a lot to take in simultaneously.
Yeah.
It's a lot, especially the first time. Like, you know, it's one shot, and Kendrick is, you know, they're using the deep fake technology. He's morphing into different people. I've seen all types of theories today to explain why he morphed into who he morphed into. I haven't gotten that far because I watched the video once and was like, I never need to see this again.
Too much.
Too much. It's too much.
Yeah, and you know, if you don't know, I mean, Armand knows, but I've been pretty critical of J. Cole over the years.
Me too.
And, you know, yeah, you coined the Jumanji Cole reference, but really it's not so much J. Cole, it's more of his fans.
100%.
So if we're gonna keep the same energy, the Kendrick fans are on 1,000 right now.
They are a lot.
They are going bananas. I saw something that said that he was standing in a certain corner of the video because that is the corner of the body. You see that?
I saw that.
I'm out,
He's
bro.
doing too much. Just
Doing
let him
too
rap,
much.
man.
Let him rap.
Yeah,
Just let him rap.
So,
but I like the song. But how do you feel about the song itself?
yeah, I was getting ready to say, so like later on that night, you know, it dropped like, it was like late, like early evening or something like that, like 7 o'clock, something like that. I ended up running, get a late dinner or whatever, and I was able to like sit in the car and listen to it. And that's when I was like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
Crazy.
First of all, rapping the Marvin Gaye "I Want You" is, first of all, well, I did it like 2 years ago, but that don't count. I'm really shocked that beat was just sitting there.
Oh, that felt to me, and maybe I could be wrong, it felt freshly produced.
Yeah,
like
they redid that.
Yeah, they took their time just breaking apart the instrumentation.
Yep.
At least that's what I felt.
Yep. So it was a perfect canvas for Kendrick to finally speak lyrically after. I mean, shoot, when's the last time we heard a Kendrick record? Black Panther, the Baby Keem, some joints on the Baby Keem album.
Baby Keem's the closest, but I mean, listen, man, elite rapper, period. Facts. I don't want to hear that. That was the biggest question. Is like, is he still doing it on the level that we're used to hearing it? And absolutely, for that to be the heart, you know, that's I think what the heart series is intended for, is to get some practice shots up.
Yep. And I went back and listened to all the other hearts today. And
okay.
So I'm always partial to 2 and 3. Like 3's my favorite. 2 is what made me a Kendrick fan.
2, bro.
2 is what made me a Kendrick fan. And you remember this, I was highly critical of 4. Like, I didn't like 4 at all. And I remember you called me crazy.
Yeah, you was wilding, bro. 4 is dope, but I understood why you felt with the way you felt.
Yeah, in hindsight, I realized like he was really setting us up for damn. Like, I'm about to go a little left. I can walk that back now that I listen to it in hindsight. I'm like, all right, I get it now. I didn't catch on to the vision. It is what it is, and it feels so different from 2 and 3.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Listen, bro. Like, and getting into the content, I will admit that, you know, I'm a bit that like I didn't catch some of the stuff on the front end, and maybe this was a function of the video, was the fact that he was speaking from the perspective of certain people. You know,
Yeah.
like the Nip part. I didn't catch that. That's he was talking from Nip's perspective.
Yep.
But that does kind of connect to the verse in the video. I'm sorry, it connects the verse in the video better for me. So, you know, I admit going back to listen to it, you know, it makes the video make more sense. It's still the deep fake stuff is still a lot. I tapped out when Jesse came up, bro. Jesse Smollett, bro. I was like, nah, I'm out.
Juicy.
Juicy Smouye was not the move, bro. Like, and I checked out mentally. I was like, oh, nah, bro. You probably saying some amazing stuff, but I am looking at Juicy Smouye rap this.
Right.
So I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a reason he represents something like sure, all right, bet. But yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. I'm good on the deep fake. I did catch the Nipsey because he was rapping like Nipsey. I did catch that, but I didn't catch any other stuff. There's a lot. Like Kendrick raps in layers. So, you know, unless you're sitting there listening, you know, over and over and over, reading the lyrics on Genius, breaking stuff down, looking up stuff, like you're not gonna catch all that. You're just not.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're not.
Which is dope to some degree because it makes for like a layered music experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like this is stuff that you and I get feedback on in terms of the way that we write, is that, you know, people will listen to something later and hear something new, even though it's their third or fourth time listening to the song.
For sure.
So when you write like that, and that's not often appreciated as much now, but that's how we came up learning how to rap and write.
For sure.
So
yep.
I know I appreciate that, man, because it you know, the whole notion of replay value is it you know, it's measured different ways, but for me it's the lyrics.
For sure. Absolutely. Giving people something saying something and giving people stuff to chew as opposed to like a vibe or, you know what I'm saying, a feel, which is cool, but you know, you just want to give people something to chew on. And, you know, being rappers who pride ourselves on that, we can appreciate it when rappers have something to take away from another rapper. Cause, you know, we can get inside baseball and fold our arms. That's all right. It ain't that crazy. But,
right.
You know, everybody has to tip their cap to Kendrick. Like, he's the guy right now. Everybody get out the way. And, you know, let's just see what he's about to talk. Because, album comes out on Friday. That's crazy.
Album comes out Friday. But, bro, that's like, so this is what I was going to say to you on here is Kendrick's rollout is silence. That's his rollout. Like, that's literally what builds anticipation for Kendrick, is him not saying anything.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? And of course, everybody can't do that, but it just makes, when he speaks, which he doesn't have to do anything but show a picture of just 2 CDs and give the implication that it's double, and that's the rollout.
Yeah.
You know, or some handwritten note or something like that. And it's just like, bruh, the silence has already created the anticipation, which was why, you know, to some degree, you just had to feel bad for Jack Harlow, because it's just like, bruh, like he got some raps off, but I don't know if we want to do like a sidebar on Jack Harlow, but I'm not here to hate on Jack Harlow, but I am here to say he needs to be careful. You know, like he's got to be careful, because we already have Drake. You know, so I need to see him do some things that help him stand apart. You know, and to me, like, Drake is doing that thing where he's hanging around the people with the sound, to where you got to make sure you recognize who the sound came from,
right?
Or if they're being leached off of.
Right. Yeah. So my opinion on Jack is I think people are being really, really like harsh on it unnecessarily. Like, the album's not. It's weird because that's what I said on Twitter. Like, yo, this Jack Harlow album is a Jack Harlow album with a budget. Like, there's nothing outside of the wheelhouse that like folks already didn't hear if you've been listening to him for the last 2 or 3 years. And for the most part, Jack has been getting a lot of praise from the community. So now all of a sudden, he's got a budget. He got Pharrell. He's got Drake, Justin Timberlake. You know, like all the
Yep.
accoutrements of a major debut. And now everybody, all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Oh, this is the worst thing I've ever heard." First of all, no, it's not.
No,
Now,
it's not.
I could say it's generic. I could say, and this was my thing, was on his first album. My thing was like, yo, like he ain't really experienced nothing. This is a white kid from Kentucky. Like I need you to have some content and some bottom under your lyrics, some experience. And
Yeah.
on this album, he gave me a little more of that. Like this is my first time being famous. Of course, Drake is going to be your reference for that. But everybody sounds like Drake. So
That's true.
why is he getting lynched for that? When, most rappers sound like Drake and have for the last 10 years.
Lynched. That's a big word.
It's a big word. It is.
Why is Jack Harlow being lynched? That's huge, bro. But I don't want you to go too far into a review because I feel like you and Doc are probably going to do a deeper dive on Jack, and I want people to be able to get that on CRS.
For sure.
But I do feel like, Jack got to be careful right now because he can rap, but he doesn't want to just get lumped in with just like, I don't know, man. Like there's just a way for him to actually, I would say, mobilize that talent in a different way and kind of distinguish himself as an artist.
Right.
Because I also saw somebody else say something about like how the Grammys are essentially set up to do him or do Kendrick the same way that he was done with Good Kid, Mad City. And like they'll Macklemore him with this Jack thing, and he'll be forever hated if that happens.
It killed Macklemore's career.
100%. And I don't feel like that's fair for Jack because he's definitely talented and he doesn't seem like he's trying to be something he's not.
Yeah.
He can rap for real. And yet, like, if you get the stimulus package, from the label and from the features and all of that, bro, like you're gonna get put in that category real quick. I won't call him Logic, but
absolutely
but that is the fear. That's what I mean when I say be careful. Like be careful you don't become Logic.
Yeah. I guess the difference between Jack kind of doing a Drake impression and Logic doing a J. Cole impression is that Jack isn't terrible and Logic is terrible.
Some people think Logic can rap, bro.
Everybody thinks somebody can do anything. Everybody thinks somebody can do anything. There's somewhere out there that thinks that Mims, This Is Why I'm Hot is the greatest song of all time. And you're allowed to have that opinion. Just don't bring it around me. You know what I'm saying? No, Logic is terrible. He's horrible. He's so bad. It's so crazy to me to see these kids. Like, it's how I don't get like you see these rappers come in and then like 10 years in, 15 years in, and now you see people doing like an impression of their style. Like I came up in there where everybody was sounding like Jay, everybody was sounding like Nas, everybody was sounding like Biggie. Like now it's like everybody sound like Pac. Now everybody's trying to sound like Cole and Kendrick. That's crazy.
It's crazy, but it's respect to some degree,
sure.
But Kendrick is what I was refreshed by is that he sounds sharp.
Yes, he does.
Like he sounds like he's ready to go, like he's been ready to go. To come out the gate, this ain't even on the album, and say we're starting with Marvin Gaye. You know me, bro. Like that, I was already one. But to find out the layers, like we was talking about earlier, because the cover for the song is literally like superimposed hands from different people, in different like iconic photos and whatnot. I really just appreciate the level of detail he takes into, you know, presenting his art.
Yeah.
And still just be with the rap. So for me to be able to just put some headphones on and say, okay, I didn't get the video experience, but I really still enjoyed this song.
Yeah.
You know, like, because you can hear him trying to capture the complexity of it all. You know, he's not like just sitting on a side and saying, you know, from a pulpit, this is it, this is it. Like, there's a lot of like complicated factors to what he's addressing in the culture. And it's like, you know, he keeps coming back to that thing, like, this is culture, this is the culture. And he's right. Like, it's complicated. Like, some of the stuff we celebrate is wild. Like, yo, this is not the move. But at the same time, it's what makes it consumable. It's what makes it great. It's what locks people in, and what makes people tune into the story. So, I mean, bro, I just appreciate him. It's almost like, bro, he's doing it from a pedestal. Like, he's like, listen, I'm standing from the mountaintop and saying, I am all of us. Like, you can't do that from the gutters. He climbed up to Mount Sinai and said, I am all of us. And now I'm going to superimpose myself as Nipsey and speak essentially from the dead.
And is there another rapper who could do that? That's not already that's not directly, you know, associated with Nipsey, somebody from, you know, all Money and Camp.
Nope. And I'm gonna go inside because it's too dark. But no, nobody else. I think if J. Cole tried it, we would all laugh.
He had the line about 33.
Yeah, nah, bro, that wasn't it, bro. That was not the move. that was not it, bro. And he paid the price he should have paid for that. But J. Cole's gonna still get respect no matter what. People will forgive him for that, but we're talking about who's going to be remembered. And I think, you know, Kendrick has the clout to be remembered for taking that risk.
For sure. Absolutely. So, is there anything else that we want to talk about in regards to Kendrick or rap in general?
Man, sorry, Doc. Like, I know you guys was going to talk about this, and there's still more to talk about.
There is. There's plenty.
We left a lot, but just as rappers talking about rap, man, like, I really enjoyed that mug, and it gave me a lot of anticipation for what's to come. And I'll say, bro, like, my expectations are measured, bro. Like, I'm not like, oh, this album's going to save the world. Like, we've gotten some really good music. For me, and this is just me, I've got Black Star's album on my list for album of the year. You know, I do. And a couple of songs in particular are just like, yo, man, the fact that these two guys can come together and put together, you know, an expression of art and hip hop culture in this way is really timely.
That Black Star album is really, really good. First of all, I'm glad that they connected with one producer. I'm glad that they just kept it Mad Lib. Second of all, Mos Def, and I said this on the podcast, but Kendrick Lamar, Kanye West, Lupe Fiasco, all of these guys owe their lives, their rapidy rap lives to Mos Def. He is all of them in one. And the only reason why he didn't get to that level is because the world and the industry and the ecosystem was not prepared for who he was and what he had to offer at the time. He was way ahead of his time. Way 100%. Ahead of his time. So I hope that this album and whatever follows begins a culture that gives him his flowers.
It won't, but we know because they put it on Luminary. So it's really only the heads who went after it. You know what I'm saying? And those of us who did, bro, like, we got what we wanted. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Like it was not for me about recreating the first Black Star album. It was like, what do these guys have to say today?
Exactly.
How does it sound? You
Exactly. That
know?
was 24 years ago. Why would somebody want them to like finish that off? Like you're a completely different person in 20 years. No way.
Yeah, yeah. And really I only mentioned the Black Star album to say there was a lot of other good music, this year. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like everything's hinging on Kendrick Lamar. You
Right?
know what I'm saying? In the past couple of years, there's been some really good music. So it's just like your turn, bro. Like contribute something to this environment that really feels good right now.
For sure. For sure. Whatever Kendrick has, I'm sure it'll be exactly what we need. I'm not really pressed or like wondering if he's gonna like he's created the real estate. He has the credibility for whatever he does. We know that it's gonna do what it's supposed to do. Like I can't see
Yeah,
Kendrick dropping a dud. Like I just don't. It's just like how much are we gonna like it? We don't like it, but like to what degree? You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I wasn't the damn fan. Like I'm the only person in the world who doesn't like that album, but I know I'm in the minority on,
Crazy.
and
That's
that's fine.
crazy. That's crazy.
That's fine. I
But
don't
I hear you, bro. It's all good. Like it ain't about uniformity. It's good. And that's really the main thing with Kendrick is the video is polarizing. Some people felt it, some people thought it was too much, and respected people on both sides. But like polarization is good for conversation.
for sure.
Like it's good to feel that tension. Like, nah, man, I'm not feeling it, or yeah, I'm really feeling it, and then like let the sparks fly.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, like this doesn't make or break Kendrick's influence.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody is in agreement that the raps are there. Everybody.
Absolutely. I haven't heard one person have any critique about the music. I haven't seen anything negative all day, and you're not going to.
Nah,
I
not.
will say my only critique about the music, I don't like the hook.
I don't even consider that a hook, bro. That was just some scatting around, some jazz riffs. Like
I hate when Kendrick sings like that. I hate when he does that.
yeah, to me that ain't nothing. Like I imagine myself in a small nightclub where that plays well when I hear him do that stuff.
For
Like
sure.
that's not stadium music. That's not
Yeah, no,
something you take. I mean, I'm sure he will, and he'll try to recreate it with like background singers and instrumentation and all of that stuff, and it might sound dope then. But for me, bro, I'm not really listening to Kendrick for hooks like that. It's
sure,
just like how does this make me feel?
sure,
So,
sure.
but yeah, I hear you though. I hear you. Like he just repurposed the Marvin hook.
It is.
I want the hood to want me too.
Yeah. And this and to your earlier point, this has been a really good year for music. I've been keeping track of like, we do an end of the year list for CRS and I just pulled it up. Like I already got 7, 8 albums on my list that are at least in consideration. And so I know there've been some years past where like I didn't even have 10 albums that I loved. So to already have 8 by May, it's a great sign.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's good, man. This is like I think the pandemic has really caused a lot of artists to go into their bag, and we're getting some great music, like some really really dope music, and it's just a matter of delivery now. It's people trying to control how it's delivered or how it's received or how it's consumed, and I'm here for it, bro. Both of us we're here for that.
For
You
sure.
know, how's this going to get consumed? How is this going to be, accessible and all that different stuff? And a lot of these curated experiences are becoming the norm. And I'm even interested to see like if Kendrick tries to dive into that, or if he's just too big of an artist and it's just like, you know what? Nope, I'll see you at the stadium.
He's got to do something for the stadium for sure. Like when you do something like Damn and you have the success that album creates, you can't turn back, or you have to figure out a way similar to like a Tyler, where
Mm,
you take your niche and bring your niche to the stadium. But Tyler is unique enough to do that.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah.
we'll see.
All right, man. You want to talk about your man.
My man.
Yeah. Listen, listen. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. That's my big uncle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not shying away from Kevin Samuels, man. Like, one thing I will say, and I'll challenge anybody to not only debate me or challenge me on this, but I believe Kev Samuels, God rest his soul, wherever he is, um, I believe he started some important conversations in culture. You know, like the effect of his viral moment really jump started a lot of, I think, just conversational platforms around relationships that look different now. You know, like it felt like in one sense, one person was dominating the conversation, or one side was dominating the conversation, one perspective was dominating the conversation, and he just pushed back and said, "No, there's more to be considered here in the landscape that we're all trying to navigate." And I say by we, it's clearly not us who are married, but you know, we definitely encounter the dating landscape through our other relationships.
For sure.
And we know that there are many things being contended with from those perspectives. So, you know, bro, like, I think Kev Samuels, in some sense, depending on who the audience is, or who's speaking the loudest, you know, Kev Samuels falls victim to a narrative. But, you know, as you and I know, we kind of travel through this vein of nuance. You know what I'm saying? Like, where nuance takes effort, like to hear somebody out and to ask clarifying questions and to do some research and to, you know, contextualize the moment. And narratives don't take that much work. It just has to say something salacious and provoke your emotions. You don't have to research nothing. All you do is respond with how you feel.
Yeah.
And, you know, depending on who you are, you say, I saw certain headlines or whatever, you know, Kev Samuels was this misogynist dude and, you know, whatever. I'm just like, the conversation around dating is so hypocritical in so many different ways, man. No one has the moral high ground. Let's just be clear. As far as what I'm seeing out here, ain't nobody got no moral high ground. It's either you ready to have the honest conversation about what this is, or you can just dominate the conversation with one perspective and exist in your echo chamber. But the facts of life are still the facts of life.
Right.
So, like, in the nuanced perception of Kevin Samuels, you don't have to agree with everything he's saying. You don't even have to agree with the platform and perspective he's coming from. I certainly don't. Like, it's not everything to me to be what he would call a high value man. You know, like, I would define that differently. My pursuits are differently, like economic status and accumulation of wealth and certain kinds of, you know, expressions of doing well and attractiveness that he was talking about, I don't resonate with. But I do know a lot of people who are aspiring for those kinds of relationships, those kinds of dating partners, and they want that kind of lifestyle on whatever level. So he's speaking in a way that resonates because he's talking about what a lot of people want.
Yeah.
And that's men and women.
Absolutely.
So I'll leave it at that. Like, I could say more, but I want to know what you thought of The Godfather.
You said a lot. Like, I should have made like points of like things that I wanted to respond to. I'll say that for Kev, it's amazing that the foundation of what he was saying was, don't be unrealistic. That was it. Don't be unrealistic. You can't be, you can't make a certain amount of money. For him, it was, women with children or single parents. These things that he valued, you can't bring these things to the table and then expect someone who is all tens across the board, and you yourself are not bringing, that equal value. And it was the first time that I've always said that. I'll start with the women first, because I mean, it's easy for us to say, and this has been the argument. It's like, well, Kev went hard on men too, and he did super hard, right? But I think the pushback that he got was primarily from women. Why? And when you hear people critique Kev, they never critique what he says. They're always critiquing the delivery. And so the response to that is, okay, so you don't like his delivery, but can you push that to the side and address the issue of accountability? And I didn't really see those conversations. Now, granted, I didn't seek them out, but that happened a lot, where the focus was always these sound bites where he was talking to people in a way that people felt was disparaging. They didn't like that. And here's the other thing, dog. You went into his space. You called into his show. This isn't Kevin making these open statements to just whoever has an ear. These are people who are calling into his show, coming onto his platform. Like, listen, you can want to come to my house, but then you can't really complain about how I treat you because you're in my space. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the end all be all with it. And if we really get into, do I really want to get into like the crux of it and why the pushback from women is so crazy?
No.
Okay.
You don't want to get into it. I'm just answering the question. You don't want to, but you can.
All I'm gonna say is that I feel like, and this is the analogy that I give, if we look at history, we can see that women were treated poorly, and that is a light way of saying it. That there are incredibly disparaging, just culturally, ways that women were treated throughout history that are just injustices, and that's being nice. And so I think that in this revolution that we're in, it feels like when you're correcting, there is some overcompensating that happens sometimes when you correct. So what it feels like is when the parent is absent from the kid's life, but then every time they show up with like mad toys, and they let them just get away with murder because they're afraid to keep the kid accountable, because they just want them to be happy and, even just prove to themselves that they're doing a good job. And so what happens is, women now get to define what masculinity is. And the things that are, many of the things that are called toxic are not so. But a lot of men, we do a good job of, or I don't say we do a good job, but like, we value picking your battles. I'm not about to fight about everything. So a lot of the people that agree with Kev, they were quiet. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they don't want to be associated with the types of people that almost like his minions. You talked about Kendrick fans earlier. Kevin Samuels fans are really bad too.
Yes, they are.
And you don't want to associate yourself with a Kevin Samuels fan, because you're like, I agree with what he's saying, but I'm not that guy. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I feel like I've been ranting, but there's,
hey man, cook. Go ahead and cook, bro.
There's just a lot of nuance to it, and I just feel like we're on social media, and just the internet does a terrible job with nuance, and there's no space to discuss nuance. Twitter only allows a certain amount of characters. Reels on Instagram are only a minute long. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody wants to watch a video that's over 3 minutes long. So you want nuance, you want all these places to be addressed, but like, the platforms make it impossible for you to address everything that needs to be addressed to make a full total statement. Like, what can you do?
Well, that's why I said, like, nobody has the moral high ground right now. You know what I'm saying? Like you can have strong opinions and even disagree in terms of application and where certain things need to be corrected or changed, or some things just need to be done away with. But it only works best if everybody comes to the table and owns their version of like what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? And like genuinely seeks out a different path, a different way to get past this, or a different way to pursue this in a more healthy way. And without speaking in just mystery and vague terms, man, like I go back to the men's side, and I'll say this, like in general, it's not marketable for men to talk about the things that we think and we care about, not from like a podcast platform, or kind of like centering men in their voices. Not now. That ain't working. Like there used to be a time it was really bad. Like there were shows on like Comedy Central, like I think it was called The Man Show, and
Yeah.
it was like it was the most sexist, misogynist thing ever. Just looking
Right.
back, that actually happened, that was being broadcasted, and you literally had women like jumping in mud pits, fighting each other, and
Yep.
guys like just saying all kind of wild stuff publicly, openly,
Jimmy
celebratory.
Kimmel.
Man, Jimmy Kimmel got the craziest makeover ever, bro. He's literally, how can he come back from that? It's white privilege, but I ain't gonna get into that. Like, like that's crazy, man. And how could Donald Trump be the president? Like, like after the things that he said, we have a problem in terms of men in power positions not being held accountable all the
Hmm.
time.
Absolutely.
But the voice of the everyday man, that's silence. Nobody care what the $65,000 salary man who just likes video games and sports. Nobody cares about what they think.
Can I piggyback off of that with a fake hot take?
All right.
I appreciate that there are now more than ever um, so many prominent um, representations of the black family,
Mm-hmm.
but they are extremely like overly feminized and curated, and I hate them.
Oh, 1,000.
I hate them.
1,000.
I hate them. I'm tired of seeing like the married couple. You can tell they're doing the reels and the TikToks, and all of the ideas for videos are clearly like they're her idea, and he's just going along with it. Probably because she's getting to a bag. She's getting to several bags.
Yeah.
And also you're going along to get along because it's like, yo, this is my wife or whatever. And so outside of like your belief in fatherhoods, and I'm sure there are other people that I'm missing, it's just like there is no representation of the ashy black dad,
Tired black dad, the
the
hardworking
tired black
black.
dad. Yes.
Yeah. Like,
Yes.
the one who's present and quietly fulfilling his role, and not really asking for acclaim and recognition, but just holding it down. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Like just holding it down, not give me a platform, shine a light on me, and give me my flowers. But I'll see you when I get off work. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Like I'm I'll take the kids to soccer practice, or I'll pick the kids up from school, and just kind of maneuvering through society quietly. And so getting back to Kev Samuels, it's like his platform was designed to directly engage those kinds of men
Mm-hmm.
who were saying that they wanted to go on a journey of self-improvement, or just get to a different place. Now,
Mm-hmm.
of course, the extremes of that, you would engage with the sorry dude who was always making excuses, being lazy, and that would be the call that gets probably the most views on his
Of course.
channel
Of
because
course.
he's checking that dude.
Of
But
course.
again, nuance requires research and history. The
Mm-hmm.
vast majority of his calls was just like the average guy, black guy,
Yep.
who worked at Chase. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was just trying to figure out how to improve his image, either for a career opportunity or a relationship.
Yep.
And there's nothing sexy and marketable about that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not on a wide scale. The point of Kev Samuel's celebrity came when he started engaging with women.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cared about what the dudes was getting checked on, or as society does it. And you know, as a man, I've grown up in the experience of being a man is somebody's going to tell me that I'm doing something wrong and that I need to step my game up, or somebody's going to tell me that I need to work harder, or somebody's going to tell me that I need to take on more responsibility. Somebody's going to come and engage me with that to let me know that there is a level that I'm at and there's a level I need to go.
That's right.
That is my experience as a man. And those are not things that I even hold up to shine a light on. It's just the way it is. And you can ask 10 men in a room. I believe at least 8 of them will say, yeah, I've heard that many times. Whether or not I applied it, whatever. So that's what Kev Samuels was doing. He's an image consultant. He's already made his money. He's sitting on YouTube in a little podunk channel with a suit on and just like, yo, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to discipline yourself. This is how hard you need to work. And again, none of that's marketable. In comes in the world star moment, yep, where a woman calls in and clearly she's got some self-esteem issues. She's got some identity issues. But what is not often spoken about that moment, this is a highly successful woman. Mm-hmm. You know, she's making 6 figures. Mm-hmm. You know, she's a business owner. And what she's trying to do is find out how to access not just a relationship possibility, but a certain kind of relationship possibility.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, as we unpack all of these boxes, you're left with a lot more than he's dogging Black women. You know what I'm saying? Like you're left with more than that. And that's the narrative. The narrative is that he is anti-Black women.
Right.
Now, the thing that Black men, I don't know when we're going to be ready to talk about this, you know, on a widespread level, but the thing that a lot of Black men have experienced, like the thing that we have experienced through the course of our lives is an interaction with Black women that tells us that we need to step our games up, that we need to fix certain things in terms of our presentation to even gain attention from certain Black women.
That's right.
You know, like, and we will feel that if we're not on that level. We'll feel the outskirts. We'll feel the insults. Like we'll just endure all of that because after all, we are ashy or what's the term now? It just feels dusty. We dusty.
Dusty. Yep.
That's like the worst thing you could ever hear as a Black man is you dusty, bro.
Yep.
And that is the experience of many Black men. Now that leads into Black men choosing, you know, to get in relationships with white women, you know, or just exploring the dating landscape differently. And again, I don't know if we're ready to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Kev Samuels opened the door for that conversation in a lot of different ways. So it wasn't just him dogging Black women. Now, he said some things that I thought were just totally unnecessary. Like, bro, you don't have to make the point that way. For sure. But at that point, he was making a decision to be an entertainer. You know, he wasn't just giving advice or counsel that you would pay for. He was saying, listen, I got a YouTube channel. I'm building a following. You know, I got to create a moment in the way and let some of my personality out in the way that I deliver this message. And he was methodical about that. You got to listen to long form interviews from him to hear like what the whole channel is and the approach.
Yeah.
But again, there we are in nuance again. And there we are having to do work that people typically don't want to do. And therefore, they're just going to run with the narrative.
You know what was really interesting to me and what was a real turning point in like the brand or the legend of Kevin Samuels? was when he interviewed Nicki Minaj.
Bruh, come on, bro.
And so everything that we've talked about are things that exist and have happened within this timeline. They've been trying to cancel this dude, get his, content removed from YouTube, like all this other stuff.
Wait,
So
Armand, I got just real quick. I just got to clarify real quick. He didn't interview Nicki. She called him to talk. She called him to get some clarification and some understanding.
that's the thing that I really appreciated about the Kevin Samuels brand, is that he was always in his corner unless he was summoned somewhere. So Joe Budden Podcast, Fresh and Fit, all those places. First of all, Fresh and Fit is the worst thing in the history of the world.
Trash. No cosigns.
Tell me you've never been with a woman without telling me you've never been with a woman. It's just terrible. So
it's the Man Show. It's a different version of the Man Show. It's like a bunch of guys who live off of pornography. But go ahead.
Live off pornography. Absolutely. 100%. So you're right. And I'm glad that you clarified that. She came to him and asked him clarifying questions. He clarified those questions to the best of his ability. And at the end of the conversation, Nicki was like, "You're right. I appreciate this dialogue. And when I tell you, you could hear a pin drop." Because they thought Nicki was, she gonna clean him up. She gonna do this, whatever. And she came in like the first 5 minutes of the interview. She was very defensive and aggressive, and her guard was up. She was expecting something. And she did not get what she got or what she expected. She got something totally different. And I think that has to be spoken of, are the demographic, the silent demographic of women who agreed with his rhetoric.
Large silent demographic. Large. Because I'm telling you right now, bro, it's the loudest is not the largest.
100%.
The loudest is not the largest. Like this is a big world, big society, and the internet's a big place. So some of the stuff that feels shocking and culture turning because some people want to tweet about it nonstop, or the amount of likes and retweets translates to you that this is how people feel. Man, there's all kind of motives beyond those likes and retweets. There's actual technology behind those likes and retweets that connect to other systems of consumerism and capitalism and brand strategy that don't have anything to do with how people actually feel generally. You know what I'm saying? And if you have the power to literally facilitate a platform that reaches a wide audience, and you can be editorial and create your own headline, then you can control what the masses think about a given topic without them ever even having the opportunity to engage it for themselves.
That's right.
So it's just disappointing to me that, the takeaway is we are just satisfied with the narrative, especially as Black people, because we know how complicated we are. Stuff ain't pretty. Like, we all have a toxic uncle, if I want to use that terminology. But every now and again, he spits some wisdom and spits some game to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like in our communities, we know it's complicated. Like we got people who done all kind of wild stuff, said all kind of wild stuff. But from time to time, they show up for you in different areas of your life, and you don't demonize your entire family just because of certain incidents. Now, of course, there's levels to this, and there are really serious offenses and abuses that people in your family, and you're not in a position like, oh, you just gotta forgive your abuser. No, man, I'm just talking about humans,
right?
People who say things that are wild sometimes. They don't speak in polished language all the time. And really, the urgency of the conversation doesn't call for it. You feel me? And I think, as a pastor and as a Christian, like, man, we got this obsession. I observe this in Christian circles. We got this obsession with polished language. We've got this obsession with saying things in such a way that makes us look pretty and look like we understand or look like we're profound. And again, it's just it is a methodical system of lies. Like you want the same, you want the high value man he's describing. You want
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. In Jesus' name.
Man, women in churches are trained to expect that they're going to get Boaz. They're trained to expect they're going to get the prophet of the masses. Like every man has to live up to that. Every man has to be studying their Bible 10 hours a day. Every man has to lead the prayer procession. Every man has to have a seminary degree. Every man has to, bro.
Cry out in worship.
Come on now, dog.
Yep.
Come on now. And if it's not that, then you're settling for less than God's best. Tired of it, bro. I'm tired of it. I've seen too much, been through too much, and in these marriages that are built on farces.
Yep.
Like, okay, you got your Boaz. Okay, then you found out Boaz was into domestic violence. Or you got your Boaz.
Emotions well. He doesn't know how to communicate. He's bad with money. Your sex is boring. He's into pornography heavy. He's got a wandering eye. His Instagram DMs are full of like all type. There's so many, but he prays real good. His suits look real nice. He got a degree.
And that means nothing.
Nothing.
When it all comes down to the true product of this person that you have now before God vowed to be with for the rest of your life, and you've curated the experience in this visual adaptation of the marriage supper with the Lamb, and this person's not the Lamb of God. You know what I mean? So when that's the expectation, literally built into the minds of masses of Christian women that are hopeful for marriage or hope to be married in some way. That's another thing with Kevin Samuels that got exposed is like, this liberation movement that goes widespread about, what women want in relationships and the freedom and the sexuality and all different stuff. It would all come down to, do you want a traditional marriage or not?
Right.
And
Yes.
it will just come out like you want a traditional relationship. You want somebody who's going to be completely faithful to you and make 6 and 7 figures. And then so he's like asking, like, so how do you participate in that?
Right.
How do you show up every day and help to manage that? and then he's in the power position because he's like, I am the guy that you're saying you want to be with. And I'm telling you right now, that ain't how it goes. And that kind of truth, if you want to limit your category of the highest form of marriage relationship and the totality of security and emotional respect and all of that is wrapped up in this kind of guy, number one, we got a percentage problem because that's not every guy.
Right.
And number two, there's a lot of good guys who are not that.
That's right.
That are not that.
That's
How
right.
about, who was we talking about the other day? We talk about height prejudice.
Oh, facts. Listen. He could be funny. He could respect you. He could have a good job, but he's 5'8", and you want to wear heels. So you're like, that's a wrestle for you.
It's a spiritual wrestle.
It's a spirit. Then you praying about it, like Lord. And here I am. I'm 6'5" and a dirtbag, and you willing to deal with me?
Because everything in the environment dictates that you're in a position of power, and you can be a dirtbag because you're operating from a place of high demand. You know what I'm saying? So So the whole landscape is jacked up. This is where the hypocrisy comes in. It's like, listen, the landscape is jacked up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Everybody got demands. So let's just own that. And if you got to put your superficiality on the altar, then do it. Don't sit here and act like you just want what God wants, fam. Don't do that.
Yeah. Don't hit me with the God's best.
Nope.
No. You want a tall man, and you want him to be muscular, and you want him to have a hairline,
And
and
dress.
And he can dress. Oh, listen, don't let me open up my model ministry DMs from wives telling me, I wish my husband would dress like you.
Well, I'm just, listen, the moral high ground's got to stop.
But right. Go ahead, finish your point. Go ahead.
No, I'm just,
the moral high ground has to start, or something that you say all the time. Own your biases.
Own it.
Just own it. Don't put it on Jesus. Don't put it on none of that. Just be like, yo, I just want a tall dude.
Yep.
I want what I want. I want God's best for me, but also I have a selfish list.
They're called preferences. That's what they're called. They're called preferences. Everybody has them.
Everybody has them. Ones we can depend on.
And welcome to humanity. And for the guys who have been, you know, dusty and proud, you know, and they say Kev's, you know, Kev Samuels is their Moses, you know, refer to his older videos. And he's telling you won't have a chance. You're not getting an Instagram model. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting a light-skinned worship leader. You're not getting it.
Right.
You're not getting that, you know, or a light-skinned tall prophet.
Right.
You know, biracial with waves and, you know, loves Maverick City. Like, you're not getting that.
You're not getting that.
You know, like it's this idea of our preferences literally controlling us. And I mean, listen, man, as a guy who talks a lot with guys about just like manhood and developing, you know, into men, whether it be spiritually or just kind of practical advice, like, man, I know for me, like, I don't have any issue holding us accountable when we get out of line.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't drift towards things that, you know, that sound toxic, or I don't navigate my relationships with the mentality that everybody owes me something and everything is going to be governed by my preferences.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to know what that actually looks like tangibly, then look at the church that I pastor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not pastoring like this polished, pretty church. You feel me? And for the acclaim and the glory.
Right.
It is the people who need help that I ask God to put me in the spaces to serve in whatever way I can. And I'll say that for me as a personal application, when I interact with other guys and young men who start talking fly and wild and crazy, bro, they, you know, however I can in the most gracious way possible, I invite them to look in the mirror at their dustiness. You know what I'm saying? Like, fam, you're not about to be out here just talking to women and everything any old kind of way, thinking you about to just get everything just because you're a male.
Right.
You know? And then the other way is like having big brother conversations with sisters in Christ, or just women who I have friendships with, and saying, listen, man, don't fool with these kinds of guys. Cock block ministries. You know what I'm saying? Which I am unashamed of now that I have a daughter.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, fam, like I'm gonna tell you what's out here. I'm gonna tell you what we're thinking. I'm gonna tell you where to find it. I'm gonna tell you what to avoid. I'm gonna give you the game.
I'm snitching.
Because I love you.
Exactly.
You feel me? Like, I'm what I look like, just be like, hey, good luck. It's a jungle out there. You know?
You'll be back.
All I'm saying is, not Kev Samuels is anybody's prophet, anybody's Moses, no nothing. But the way that he handles some of these inconsistencies or hypocrisies opened up a vein of a lot of conversations that a lot of us need to have about our superficiality.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so let's just be honest with it, and like let's start from there. As long as we're honest, and as long as we own it, then we can have the accountability conversations. We can have the honest conversations that people say so much that they want to have.
Facts.
Like it is what it is. So
Yep. Look, man,
all right.
the channel is still up. If y'all want to go back and watch the videos and get a fuller education, bring some context. These narratives are just exhausting, man. And it's crazy. I don't know if you saw that he's going to be on the next episode of Atlanta.
Is he really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
I
Oh
don't know. I mean, I hope he's still, like, it was marketed that he's going to be on the next episode. So
if not, they're going to.
it's it's that kind of polarization. Making the earlier point about Kendrick, that to me is good for conversation. You know what I mean? Like, I am a person who loves Black women. I'm a person who married a Black woman. Don't really see how I could be with anybody else. That's just me. Prefer Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that is my preference.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that Black women have so much more to offer than some of the images that are being portrayed out there about who Black women are and what they think.
Mm.
I think there's more to be said. There's more to be highlighted. There are more platforms to be constructed. But a lot of those women who would construct those platforms ain't got time.
That I think all of the women, and I'm not even just gonna say my wife, but all of the women that I have a relationship with, my friends, sisters, relatives, like, are all amazing women that I don't see in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them in the public square. And you're
Mm-hmm.
right. That's exactly why, because they're busy being who they are. And so somebody else has to like turn the camera on, because they're not going to turn the camera on. They see themselves as common because they're looking at the presentation and they're like, oh, well, I'm not that. So that's not interesting. It's like,
Man,
no, you are the antithesis, which makes it even more interesting.
Proverbs 31, which is, man, there's a time in the church, and maybe it still is, where the greatest aspiration of every woman was to somehow model the Proverbs 31 woman. I think it just became more about saying that phrase and actually reading the text,
Mm,
because it's like, quote for me from that passage what stood out to you the most. Because I'll tell you, for me, it was, charm is deceitful, beauty is fleeting, but a
mm,
woman who loves God is to be praised. That stood out to me. And I would love to know what stood out to many others who either aspired to be that, or, thought that was the standard that had to be communicated widely. But the context of that chapter is a grandmother schooling her son on what kind of woman, or her grandson, on what kind of woman to look for.
mm.
Like, hey, look for this kind of woman. None of this other stuff. This is the kind of woman that you should be pursuing, and your days will be
Mm,
blessed. King Lemuel, listen to your grandmother, or listen to your mother if I'm getting it wrong. All I know is an older woman schooling a younger man on what to look for out in the world. And I'll tell you right now, we need more of that. More of the schoolers, more of the sit down and let me help you prepare to be a wife, and to be a support, or to be a sister, to be an auntie, a niece, all of those different things. We need more of the schoolers out here.
that's right.
Not the people who are, pseudo revolutionaries, who just specialize in um, monopolizing a conversation around the pain and trauma and bitterness of people. Like, you can monetize that, you can manipulate that, But to actually serve and to help people grow and get out of that, man, we had a shortage. And I'm out the game. Praise God. Today
Facts.
I am.
Praise. I feel like that's the other thing. Like that's the elephant in the room. Is just we just be like, man, that's crazy. All right, well, good night. I'm about to get off this live and I'm going to cuddle with my wife.
Fam. And,
Like,
and 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 not even like in an antagonizing way,
nah,
but just to say we ain't got skin in it, like to just be lying and hurting people's feelings,
right,
But you're not about to sit here just like you won't do with Dr. Umar. You're not about to just say it's all trash,
right.
and he's trash. It's like,
That's it's lazy.
yeah, it's lazy, it's your perspective, and I guess we have a lot to earn. We have a lot of trust to earn as men to be able to speak to women and say, hold on, let me help you see this differently from a man's perspective. Because
Mm-hmm.
like you said before, women are trying to define masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here to tell you, you're not qualified to
You can't
do
do it.
that.
You can't do it. You can't
You're
do it.
not.
I'm never gonna try to define femininity. I just can't do it. There's just certain things about women that y'all do that like are just completely out of my wheelhouse. And I submit to that. Bet you got it. You got it. God bless you. Praise the Lord. But don't hop over the fence and be like, oh, this based off of your experiences, something that you experienced from somebody you dated or something that you saw from your dad or your uncle or whatever stories you heard or something happened to your friend. Like that's not fair. That is as widespread as that could be, that is still very limited.
Yeah.
Because you can mess around and I bet you right now, you got a dude right now in your phone that will drop everything he's doing and love you the way that you want to be loved. And you'll tell him, I wish I could find a guy like you. And he's like, I'm a guy like me.
But you 5'4", and I
But you
can't do it.
5'4".
You 5'4", and I don't like your jeans.
Right?
You know,
Yeah. You shop at Old Navy and I want a Louis bag.
bring that superficiality to the altar. Bring
Bring
that,
it.
like, Lord, I know I got caveats.
Yep.
Like I know I have non-negotiables.
Yep.
So however you bless me with those in my heart, either change my heart, humble me, or help me to accept the outcome.
That's it. Because there will be someone who comes around and is like, you know what? I accept your I can't even think of the word, but all your frivolous, like all your other expectations that aren't Jesus, sure. Because I hit those markers. I do have a good job. I do dress well. I got a nice car. I am tall. Sure. Now, in turn, I want you to wear your hair a certain way. I want you to wear a certain type of shoe when we go out. I want you to be able to cook. I want you to be able to be domesticated, yada, yada, blah, 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 blah. You also have to bring these things to the table, which is ultimately what Kev was talking about. Just make sure you can bring it to the table too, if you're asking for it.
Them's be fighting words, my bro.
Facts.
Those those are fighting words, and herein lies the problem. Like, and really the problem, in my opinion, overall is trust. Like, we have to be able to trust each other to have these kinds of conversations with some civility.
Yeah.
Like I'm not coming for your life like, you're just going to be bitter, broken, and alone. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I can help you avoid some of these illicit relationships that you take on to medicate, your sadness.
Yep.
Because guess what, man? If it's that superficial, there's a lot of guys out there who can model that for temporary purposes.
Mm-hmm.
They'll come out the gate like, oh yeah, I'm this, I got you. Yes. 6 months to a year later, maybe even less than that now, it's like the relationship is still not defined, and it won't be.
They're the Tinder swindler.
And I mean, I'm being old by saying 6 months to a year, because that could be 3 months, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Nowadays these dudes, they moving quick.
Yeah. And the sex is coming quicker too. So it's like, yo, it's just you're gonna have to then add that to the trauma, because you came out the gate with superficial, and for the guys, man, the dirt bags are always going to be around. And my thing is like, I try to look men in the eye and be like, man, are you going to be a person of integrity and character?
Right.
Like, are you going to build something with another person?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Are you going to stick and stay and cultivate companionship
Mm-hmm.
for when the attraction meter starts to die off and you need somebody to drive you to the hospital? You know what I'm saying? You need somebody who you can trust with the bank account information. You know what I mean? You need to look at who's going to be the mother of your children. You know what I'm saying?
Fact.
Like, as men, are you looking at those factors? Because it can't just be like, where the hoes at, bro. Like, I can't. I was done with that conversation a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what it means to be a man now has developed. So those are conversations that we still need to be able to have with our masculinity intact.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, like, there's going to be certain fashion choices that women won't like, but I
Right.
will. Sorry. You
Yeah.
don't like this football jersey, like, I'm sorry. If
Right.
you don't like the color on these shoes, hey, listen, in public, you've probably had this happen before. In public, there'll be grown men who come up to you be like, hey man, that's fresh.
Where you get them at? Yo, those are crazy.
Grown men.
Grown adult. Oh man, I get it all. I get it a lot, and it's like you. It's what you asked for.
Hey, but
Material.
it's like, it's what we like. You feel
Right.
me? Like, it's like, this is something I like. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
there is a method to, like, obviously attracting women, but it ain't always that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes
In
it's
the
just I like this.
same way you guys tell us that some things that you put on and wear are for you and how you feel about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Leave our masculinity intact. Let us have some interests in some things that we enjoy. Celebrate that. Or
Yep.
just leave the room. You know what I'm saying? Like, let us
Right.
get that off.
Right.
Instead of
Absolutely.
micromanaging, like, our interests. Like, nah, like, let us be men. Let the differences shine. Good Lord. Like, yes, we're different.
We supposed to be. That would be boring. It would be boring. If me and my wife loved the exact same things all the time, my life would be wild boring. And you know what my mind would probably start doing? Wandering towards something that was different. So no, no. I don't need the similarities. I don't need everything to be one to one. Let those things. And I think the other thing, I think the masculinity, when you say that, I'm reminded, I feel like our masculinity would be found in our civility.
Sure. Sure.
You know,
Absolutely.
the ability to have those questions and say those things without raising our voice, calling you out of your name,
Yes.
disrespecting you, but having those conversations and being heard, because I think that's why Kev was lauded the way that he was because he was a voice for the voiceless. He spoke for so many people that felt like uh they weren't being heard. And it was just, this is what I want, this is what I want. And then here comes somebody else that's like, well, here's the pushback. And they're like, yes, he is
Well,
I and I am him.
I'm laughing because you use the voice for the voiceless, but I'm laughing because I'm remembering your earlier point, which is what I really think is what's happening. Is it's not that they're voiceless, is that they're too afraid to speak. You know.
All right. So let's define the Kevin Samuels fan. The Kevin Samuels fan, the vocal ones. The ones that
Yeah.
are like really
Yes.
like,
There you go.
yo,
Yes.
and that's why you ain't never gonna find.
Yes. Yeah.
In high school, you were in love with the prettiest girl in school.
Yes.
She curved you for a football player.
1,000.
You ran into her 10 years later on Facebook.
Yes.
She got 4 babies by 3 baby daddies. And your
Man.
response was, see, if you was with me, then that wouldn't have happened. Now you're mad.
And to me, that's not who Kev Samuels is speaking for in totality. It's
Not at
like
all.
because to be mad, you have to like have an accurate evaluation of what you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Because if everything you built was based on the hurt of that rejection, then your foundation is shaky.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? Like you can't just build something off of hurt and pain and trauma in order to try to prove yourself to the world or prove something to yourself. Like I was worthy to be the boyfriend, and then you taking all of that energy into a comment section. You looking wild, bro. You looking wild, like because really the point of all of that is you should have moved on.
Facts.
and if the intended effect should be she should be seeing that in you and saying that herself, not you,
Absolutely. You ain't
because
gotta be
you can still be dusty. She be like, oh yeah, that's why I never talked to him. he,
Yep.
he was on that same stuff back in high school, and I don't care. Like, yeah, I got all my kids, but hey, I'm still good on that.
Right. Right.
So I feel you're right. That's the typification of Kevin Samuels fan, especially in the comment section.
In the comment section. Hard.
The silent majority though is like, whatever on the YouTube platform, you got people doing donations or whatever that's called. It's just a quiet little donation,
Mm-hmm.
may not come with a comment. It's just an offering. It's like, here you go.
Appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you, my G. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? And those are the people who let Kev Samuels take the bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just say, yeah, you go ahead and say it because I don't feel like it. I just can't take it. I don't have the energy to say these things. And I wouldn't even say them the way you're saying them, but it is definitely opening up some bedside conversations.
Yes. Yes. And I hope to have one of those conversations on camera someday. I would like so necessary because they're so good. They're so good.
Hey
But
man,
it
I
is a
want see my selfish thing is I want a woman version of this. Like
facts.
2 women talking about this particular topic from a different perspective than what's most loudest.
Mm-hmm.
Like adding some nuance to the whole thing. That's what I would love to see, but it probably won't happen.
Or if it is, it's in this dark corner somewhere and it gets 10 plays on YouTube and we never see it.
Facts. Yes.
It
Yep.
is what. So, all right,
Woo!
man.
Man,
Anything else? We fired lots of cannons. Is that it?
that was the point, man. I mean, we knew when we was going to talk Kev Samuels, we was going to interject something into the broader conversation that was going to. I don't even know, bro. I'll be honest with you. On my side, the comments are frozen, and I'm like, yes. I don't get to see. I ain't seen what none of y'all have said.
They was
So
they was co-signing and clapping and fire emojis and laughing and all that stuff. We had the community. There was a couple times where like we was ranting about stuff and I watched the viewer count drop.
there's the narrative. There's the narrative. Is like Armond Taelor was on there being misogynist. Hey
Absolutely.
man, thank you for the ones who stuck around to help us, or stuck around to hear us finish the point.
For sure. For sure.
Shout out to y'all.
That's the Kevin Samuels thing, right? You're gonna take it. They're gonna take a clip, and they're gonna say, "Oh, nope," and they're gonna bounce. Versus the people who stay here for the entire hour and a half conversation. I don't know. I always say that these are not gonna be left up? I don't know. This was really good. I'm not sure if I'm gonna leave it. What you think? You think we should lead us up?
I'll leave it in your hands, bro.
Thank you.
I'm going back off the grid, for a little while. I'm still writing music and doing all of that, and I'm taking a page out of Kung Fu Kenny's book. I'm not going to do his hiatus, but it is helpful
For
to
sure.
get out here and feel something, and then try to come back and express it artistically. So yeah, I'm chilling. I'm kind of like trying to figure out what my relationship with social media is going to be. So I trust you. You are the bishop of content.
I got you. I got you. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. And of course, we'll be back and do this, just not sure when. Just make sure you stay tuned in. Follow COVID Community on Instagram. I'm sure y'all follow Taylor and I. And, the conversations that keep going. So y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all later.
Peace.